And I don't want to show my daughter that that's okay. I think having forgiveness and giving grace, I think is right, but also having really clear boundaries, I think is really important.
I appreciate you taking the time to sit with me because, I know you're super busy and you don't have to, you don't have to. Hopefully we spend more time together where you can see who I actually am, and hopefully the words follow the actions, you'll see it.
We shall see. Question. Do people ever actually change, or is it our perception of them that actually changes? Welcome back to another episode of Through the Lens with our favorite family, the Kardashians. Strap yourself in. We are going on a trip today all about the construct of change. Do people change, or is it our perception that actually changes? Remember to like, subscribe, turn on notifications so that you can make sure to get your weekly trip with Through the Lens. Okay, Kourtney is meeting with Tristan about him cheating on Khloe, and in results that Kourtney really shares that his actions don't align with his words. But a key piece in this is Kourtney begins to share about the dynamics of their family and how the women tend to allow the men to get away with things, and it's really about putting on this image instead of actually honoring people and supporting them and upholding boundaries and really coming from this place of love. Let's tune in and see, do people actually change, or is it their perception?
The truth and having that conversation, it's on me to have that conversation because daddy failed you and mommy.
Yeah.
Mommy didn't fail you, Tutu. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I feel like in this family, you guys are so lucky, like all the guys, because for whatever reason, it's like held a higher like priority of like, let's keep everyone like happy and like getting along, and let's make sure Tristan's at Christmas Eve and everyone's there, and it's one big happy family, and let's make sure everything's like fun and happy. For some reason, that like takes the priority in this family over like setting a boundary or like having someone's back or like having someone's side. Not that I haven't done it myself. So I've been a part of this whole thing.
Okay, right there. Kourtney shares that the women in the household are really about making sure everybody appears to be happy and everybody appears to be having fun and having a good time despite how they're actually feeling within, and how detrimental that is to showing up that way for future generations and showing them it's okay. Like if you are feeling like crap or hurt, it doesn't matter. Just get a little glam. Just act as if, so that we can ensure the world believes we are super duper happy when in fact we are miserable inside and we are falling apart. Kourtney shares she's been a part of this, but Kourtney has done some major deep work on herself and healing the trauma and healing the narrative so that she can be a better example for her children. What she's referring to is the old narratives she used to live by that she no longer lives by. And in turn, the men in their life are able to essentially do whatever the heck they want because they know the women will act as if nothing happened, because that is how things go in the family. Let's see what else Kourtney has to say about this.
I've been a part of this whole thing, but it's interesting to me when I think about it in a superficial way. Like, we could make sure Khloe looks her best. She's dressed up. She feels good. She's in glam, takes good photos. Like, we could do all that.
Yeah.
But like really making sure that like the person like feels supportive, stood up for, sets the boundaries they need to set, and is supported in that. Because in this family, it's like not. And like it's like I said, it's lucky for you guys. And it is great for the kids.
Right there. Kourtney shares that in the family, what takes priority is the image, not the actual supporting of one another and really being there for those deep moments, being vulnerable ultimately. It's beautiful that Kourtney is in that place where she can be vulnerable, but the truth is, We are unable to be vulnerable with other people when we are unable to be vulnerable with ourselves. So what we're hearing in this family dynamic is that it has been taught that vulnerability is not acceptable. And it was started, we don't even know when. It could have been generations ago because someone felt uncomfortable with vulnerability. Therefore, they didn't allow it. They didn't invite it. They weren't able to sit in it. They always had to fix it. And later in the episode, Chris meets with a famous producer about doing a whole documentary on Chris. And one of the things he states is, Chris, you've been responsible for so many people's happiness and success. How do you do it? Well, first of all, that guy needs to watch my videos because no one is responsible for anybody else's happiness backpack. So Chris is not responsible for that. But she's really been responsible for the image of happiness of her family. And she's done an absolutely beautiful job. She can glam those girls up. She can write a great comeback. She can show up as if nothing ever happened. And she has taught that in her children. But what happens is when we do that, we're denying ourselves. We're denying what we're feeling within. And therefore, we are living in this state of fear. Fear that if we become vulnerable, things will fall apart. Fear that if we share, we will be exposed and the truth will come out and we would have to face the truth. So the question at the beginning of this video was, do in fact people change, or is it our perception that changes? Because Kourtney shares that she used to do this. She used to think this was acceptable, and now she no longer does. But the only reason why that occurred was because she was able to work through her things and move herself from that place of fear to a place of love. And in love is vulnerability and curiosity and freedom from judgment. But no, they never changed. The narrative never changed. Instead, it was Kourtney's perspective of it, and now she no longer sees it as helpful. Do Kim and Chris and Khloe still see that narrative as helpful? Probably, because they're still living in a state of fear, and vulnerability would shake them, would ruin them, because they have yet to do the deep work of understanding themselves so that they can accept vulnerability in others and so that they can openly be vulnerable with the world. My conclusion is, my friend, that people never actually change. It's your perception of them, because the actions are just how you perceive them. Actions are just form. They're not content. And we know that everything is either a cry for love or a sharing of love. And if we meet that cry for love with attack and instead see it as attack, then all we get is more attack. But if we meet it with love, because it's a cry for love, then we receive love back. And that's what Kourtney did today in meeting with him. And that is what Kourtney is doing in her own internal work, is she's shifting her perspective from that of fear to that of love. So she is setting healthy boundaries. She is showing up as the authentic role model she wants for her children and future generations to come. She doesn't talk shit about her family. She doesn't need to. She just talks open and honestly, which in turn can be seen as an attack by them if they are still living in the place of attack. Again, what is their perception? So friend, you have that power every single day of, you can shift your perception. Do people actually change, or is it your perception of them? And again, I'm talking about at the level of content, not at the level of form. But when you shift your perception and your perspective, that's when you've got complete control over your happiness backpack. But again, that guy thinks Chris has control over everyone's happiness backpack because they're in a perception of fear where other people are in charge of your happiness backpack. That was our trip on breaking the construct of people changing. And is it actually people that change, or is it your perception of them that changes, my friend? Comment below. I would love to hear. Please make sure to like, subscribe, turn on your notifications so you can go on your weekly trip. And just a little hint, coming up in the new year, you are going to have a daily microdose that is going to blow your mind. So stay tuned. Make sure to subscribe so you do not miss out on that. And as always, my friend, remember, you are worth it. Much love. Bye.